champions. All right, so I'm about to do a service on two 9.9 horsepower four-strokes. Neither of these run at the moment. They haven't been serviced in quite a while. I'm assuming that both the carburetors are going to need, a little bit of love, an overhaul. This one's got an issue with propeller, and obviously going to need to do, the normal oil change, carby overhauls, gear oil. I'm going to do the thermostat on them, and also the water pumps. This one also has a broken skeg, which I'm going to have to weld up. So this one here is electric start. This one here is pull start. There's a bit of a later model. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to disconnect the choke, and then I'll undo this one little screw here, which is the throttle. And I'll take the carby off, just undo these two 10mm bolts. There we go. Awesome. Now I can do a carby overhaul. So we'll just speed up the carburetor disassembly a little bit. So I'm just taking the float bowl off there, taking the float off, the top plate's coming off the carb there, taking the high-speed jet out there, and then the low-speed jet there. Just trying to disassemble everything so we can clean it up. So let's have a look what we found. I mean, the carburetor body itself looks okay, but if you look in the in the bottom cup here, you can see a lot of little chunks of bits and pieces in there. So really not great. The emulsion tube has lots of junk all over it. Never going to run properly with that. High speed jet looks not too bad, but the low speed jet completely blocked. You can't even see through it. So it's never going to start and idle with that. So anyway, I'll go ahead and clean up all those parts, do a carby overhaul, and then put that back on and see if we can get that motor to run. I'll warm the oil up, drop the oil, change the oil, and then I'll jump into the gear case servicing. So the hole in this idle jet or low speed jet is so small, I've had to get out some micro drill bits. I think it's probably a 0.3 of a millimeter or something. I don't want to make it any bigger. That changes the way the motor's run. I just want to clean it out, but I obviously need to push any of the junk out of it. So I'm just going to use the smallest drill bit I have, which is probably about a 0.25 or something. And you can see I've got a hole in there now. I haven't turned that drill bit to make it any bigger. I've just gently pushed it through just to push the junk out. I'll give it a little bit of a clean now, and it should be sweet. So that's another thing with the idle or low speed jet hole that small, it's very easy to get blocked. So if I'm doing a carby overhaul like this, I'll often make sure I flush all the lines in the motor. I'll definitely be doing the fuel pump, and I'll also make sure that the tank is clean. So if that needs a flush out in those lines as well, because obviously that little idle or low speed jet, if that blocks again, you've got to start again and do another carby overhaul. So I'm just servicing the fuel pump. So I've got that up here. I'm about to do that, but I'm just having a quick look at the old fuel filter. I do have the fuel connected, so I'm going to squeeze this as hard as I can. So that's as hard as I can squeeze. So you can see that filter is fully blocked, really. That should be flowing quite easily. So here's another issue. All right, so I think definitely the thermostat is not functioning properly, which sits under here. I will replace that as well. So yeah, anyway, at least it's sitting there idling. I don't know who adjusted the idle last time, but it was way off. Anyway, continue on. So I've taken the thermostat cover off. That's the new thermostat. That's the old one. So I'll just go ahead and put that cover back on and give it another run and see, yeah, what I think then. So I've just taken the thermostat cover off the second motor. It wasn't actually heating up properly, this motor, and you can see why. Someone has cut the stem out of the thermostat, so it's open the whole time. And what that does is, it means the motor's never gonna run to optimum temperature, never gonna warm up properly. So yeah, it's important. If you want your motor to run right, you need a thermostat. So we'll go ahead and replace that. So I've just removed the impeller housing on this. Impeller on the right, obviously the old one. Yeah, so with the fins bent like that, it's pretty bad. I've also just noticed with this gasket that sits under the impeller housing, it's actually all slipped forward. I've actually never seen that. It doesn't look like a proper Tohatsu or Mercury gasket. It's probably an aftermarket thing. The only reason I can put that would happen is, yeah, that people have greased the bolts up too much and some grease has gone in between all the plates, and it's allowed that gasket, as it's tightened over time, to sort of weep forward like that. And you can see that the actual impeller has been running onto the gasket a little bit. Interesting. Wow, that blade's not ideal. All right, probably time for a new prop. So the gear case bolts on this 2012 model are seized. So awesome. So I've just taken the impeller housing off the second motor. This is a 2012 model. So here's some impeller keys or impeller pins. So the one on the left is the one that came out of this motor. That's not the size it's supposed to be. The one on the right is what it's supposed to be. It sits in that little flattened off section on the drive shaft, and in the impeller there's a little keyway. So honestly, the smaller pin that someone had put in there, it nearly allows the impeller just to spin right around and not actually grab and turn with the drive shaft. So pretty bad. I'll be putting the correct impeller pin in now. Another thing with this motor is I can see someone has run it for quite a substantial amount of time with this not being in the water. You can see a little bit of the impeller housing down there beyond the stainless cup has melted. So that's, yeah, as the impeller spins, obviously creates heat without water in here. So yeah, good idea not to run your motor out of the water for more than about 10 seconds. All right, so before I put this gear case back up on the motor, I'm going to, yeah, weld the little Skeg piece that's broken back in. So I've cut, yeah, a little piece, and I'm going to weld that in there, sand that back in, and I'll paint the Skeg, and yeah, she'll all be sweet. Alright, so now both those motors are running really well. That Skeg is fully repaired, looks beautiful. Both props are sorted. No chunks and scrapes and bent blades anymore. So new engine oil, spark plugs, fuel filters, The newer one has new fuel lines. They were all a bit dodgy. New thermostat, carby overhauls, gear case oil, impeller,